25 years ago, over the course of just 100 days, about 800,000 people were slaughtered in Rwanda by ethnic Hutu extremists. My name is Victoria Uwonhunda and I'm a journalist with BBC Africa. This leads to another question. How could the international community allow this to happen? Let's start with the UN. The UN and Belgium actually had forces in Rwanda, but the UN mission was not given a mandate to intervene and stop the killing. The UN force commander in Rwanda sent a now infamous cable to the UN headquarters in New York. In it, he warned of intelligence about a Hutu plan to exterminate Tutsis. A response came the same day from the desk of Kofi Annan, head of UN peacekeeping at the time, failing to act on the recommendations. 3 months later, all the warnings came true. The French, who were allies of the Hutu government, sent a special force to evacuate their citizens, but were accused of not doing enough to stop the slaughter. Paul Kagame, Rwanda's current president, has accused France of backing those who carried out the massacres, a charge denied by Paris. Meanwhile, the US did not want to get involved in another African conflict after the Battle of Mogadishu, which led to the death of 18 US soldiers in Somalia a year earlier. So, what made the killings so organized? Rwanda has always been a tightly controlled society, organized like a pyramid from each district up to the top of government. The then governing party, Emerenide, had a youth wing called the Interahamwe, which was turned into a militia to carry out the slaughter. Weapons and hit lists were handed out to local groups who knew exactly where to find their targets. The Hutu extremists set up a radio station and newspapers which broadcast hate propaganda, urging people to weed out the cockroaches, meaning kill the Tutsi. The well-organized RPF, backed by Uganda's army, gradually seized more territory until 4th of July, when its forces marched into the capital, Kigali. Some 2 million Hutus, both civilians and some of those involved in the genocide, then fled across the border into the DR Congo, at the time called Zaire, fearing revenge attacks. Many also fled to Tanzania and Burundi.
Newspapers mocked Tutsis in malicious cartoons. In 1990, the overtly racist newspaper Kangura published the Hutu 10 Commandments, a manifesto defining rules of conduct between Hutus and Tutsis.
Marries a Tutsi woman, befriends a Tutsi woman, employs a Tutsi woman, shall be considered a traitor. The Hutu should stop having mercy on the Tutsi.
Quasi-religious sermons turned to thinly veiled threats. In 1992, Leon Mugesera, a high-ranking party official, delivered an inflammatory warning to Tutsis.
Leon basically said the Tutsi were an impurity. They had come from elsewhere. They had come from Ethiopia. And they must go back to Ethiopia. And they must go back to Ethiopia not as living Tutsi, but as dead Tutsi.
Extremist-supported RTLM radio became the voice of the vitriolic hate. The enemy was dehumanized, called snakes and cockroaches.
The radio station was a brilliant instrument of propaganda. First thing they did is they played rock music and good music that enticed people to listen to it. The voice of the radio was nearly the voice of God, because that was the only means of communications that they had.
It was a very interactive radio. People used to call them, talk with them. You know, they used to come, and it was direct. You know, it was always like improvisation.
Tutsi men, women and children were subjected to daily insults and threats. Soon the Interahamwe militia began to conduct military exercises openly. The warning signs could not have been clearer.
bakutegedde gundi twakubuddemu bakutegedde
Kabuye Boston nga bulijjo ekiba ku radio Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Abanyarwanda oba oyagala oba toyagala oba baatufuuka oba tebaatufuuka tebaagala bantu ba Uganda. Ekyo tukikkiriziganyeko. Bonna balina akakwate ku Banyarwanda. Tebasobola twagala. Kati tuvuddeyo engoma entamiivu egenda kuvuga era ffe tulina okukulembera tubeere. Weebali ekizibu ekye tulina Banyarwanda ekyo si kirumamu tekisobola tulema era tekijja tulema. Tulina kulwanyisa Banyarwanda tubeere. Weebali kati abo be tulina okusooka okulwanyisa manya nti be baatuwamba baagala kusaanyaawo ggwanga lyaffe. Tulina okununula eggwanga lyaffe ssebo tetugenda kussa mukono era bajja kijjamu enjawulo. Tulina okununula eggwanga lyaffe oba baagala oba tebaagala tulina okununula eggwanga lyaffe.
Tulina okubakuba bonna naye era naawe bakulwana lutalo tululwana.
Bwana Kabuye, ensi yaffe tugyagala nnyo, eggwanga lyaffe tulyagala nnyo, naye olutalo tebalulwana.
Ekizibu ekye tulina Banyarwanda ekyo si kirumamu tekisobola tulema era tekijja tulema. Tulina kulwanyisa Banyarwanda tubeere.
Yeah, it's ready.
Yeah, baganda baffe bonna mwenda gyemuli abali Uganda abali mu diaspora naddala abali mu diaspora batumidde nnyo mbeebaza olw'omulimu munene gwe mukolera eggwanga lyammwe. Banaye guno temutuuka okukola lwange nammwe temukola lwammwe wabula tugukolera abantu baffe abatalina boogera abatalina ddoboozi abaana baffe abaliwo n'abo abaliddawo. Njagala obbeebaza mwenna kinoomu. Njagala n'okwebaza mu ngeri enjawulo muganda waffe Robert Kabuye Boston weebala omulimu gwonna gw'okola naye baganda baffe bonna ababeera ku kibe radio n'abali mu diaspora mwena temuggwamu maanyi. Lazima obuwanguzi tubulengera olutalo nga luwedde tujja kwambala engule. People power, our power. Our power, people power.
Mama rarira we